Hi everyone, Angela here from Papery Blue, and today I'm going to do a couple of cards. Thought I'd do a bit of card making, looking at some Valentine's Day. Here we are, we're sort of heading to the end of January, and before we know it, Valentine's Day will be here. So I wanted to make a couple of cards for some special people. So I thought I'd do a couple of different designs today, perhaps give you a little bit of inspiration. And I'm going to start today with using some papers from, it's actually the Kaisercraft Christmas collection, but I've just chosen some nice muted sort of rusty colours and maroony colours that I am going to use for the base of my card. I'm also going to distress the edges, so I don't want any of that white core showing, so I'm just going to give it a little bit of a going over with my tool. It'll darken the edge and just get rid of that white core. I do hope everybody is well. It's summer here in Australia, and we have had just a few days of really hot weather, looking at 41, 42, and we've still got a whole week of, you know, high 30s Celsius, that is. So really hot, blustering north winds. Had the tour down under here in Adelaide, so the poor cyclists have just had a horrific week trying to cycle in this weather. But the one good thing about that is that there's sort of no expectation for getting outside in the garden or doing anything of any consequence in this weather. People just tend to bunker down and try and stay cool. So hence I've had the chance to do a little bit of crafting, which is awesome. So those are my 2 pages done. I'm just going to attach those to my card base. I've just done, the card base is about 14 by 14 centimetres. This is where I've got to open it up, make sure I've got it the right way around. Put a bit of tape on just to get the base started. Oops. So I'm going to try and work fairly quickly. I don't know how many. I've sort of got 2 ideas. Where do we get to a third one? I'm not sure. But tape's one of those things that never comes off when you're in a hurry. Alright, so I'm just going to centre this one up. So this is a smidge under 14. And then this one is 13. Now just hold that thought. Okay, so what I've decided to do is just quickly, I have got myself a piece of foam, alright, so that I can put that on the back of my top sheet. That's just going to raise it up a bit. Rather than using foam tape, sometimes it's just as easy to get a nice piece of craft foam and lift it up, and that just gives it that little bit of dimension around the edge. Okay, so there we are, that's the edge of it. Now the other thing I had was this beautiful little die cut of a heart, which I want to put on there. But before I do that, I want some sort of ribbon or lace to just make it a little bit more delicate. So okay, I've decided instead of actual lace, I'm going to go with just some twine. This is very fine jute twine, which is just enough to give it just that textural edge. And I'm not too fussed about how it all finishes off. Okay. There we go. Just a little bit of textural interest. There we go. And I want to keep it really delicate. So I think about my sentiment, where I might put that. I like the thought of that just sort of tucked in there. that, I don't mind. Okay, so there we go. I'm just going to put that aside, and I'm going to look at just colouring this gorgeous white heart. This I die cut just out of white Nina solar white cardstock in 80 pound, I think it is. And I just want to colour it because the stark white looks a bit bright on the darker background cardstock. But I don't want to make it too dark because I still want to be able to see it against background. Now it's so delicate, I've got to be really, really careful. But that should be, and I don't mind if it's just a little bit variegated either. So, oh yeah, that's pretty. A little bit variegated just gives it a little bit more interest. Okay, so I will attach that in a minute, but again I'm going to put that aside. Now I've got myself some flowers. I've got some Magnolia flowers with love and some little white ones. Now I'm probably going to keep a couple white, but I also wanted to colour some so that they all sort of match. So I'm going to use some Heidi Swapp Colour Shine, and coral was a little bit orange and pink was a little bit pink, but I'm going to sort of try and spray them gently with both in the hope that I get somewhere in between. So I'm going to start with a spray of that and a spray of that. Ooh, too much. There we go. That's enough. And I will endeavour to dry those. And I will put that. I'm just going to smash that in a journal. Let's get the heat gun. I'll stop that while I do this. Okay, so I've got my flowers done. Now this one here is just a tad darker than I wanted. So I'm going to use a small brush and some of this Solar Gold Silks acrylic glaze, because I just want to dry brush onto the very edges of this rose, just to give it make it stand out a little bit more, give it a little bit of a luster, and just brighten it just the tiniest little bit, so it's not quite so dark. I'm going to put gold splashes as well, so on my card, so that'll tie in with the gold when I get to that point. Just give that a minute to dry as well. Okay. Now, something with my paints is Australia is so hot and dry, as I said, that a lot of these paints dry out, the dilutions dry out, any of your acrylics dry out really well. I try and keep them nice and cool and in a dark drawer, but anytime I use them, I also give them a little bit of extra water and give them a shake, just to try and keep them nice and loose. And I looked at another colour and I noticed that was dry too, so one of the things I'll do probably after this is open up all of my silks and just give them a little squirt of water so that they're ready to go. Okay, so let's have a look. I could do it with a hot glue gun, but I think I'm just going to do it with my helmar, which I like. And using, let's see if I can get that a little bit closer. Using my helmar will enable this lot to stick. Okay, so I'm going to start with my biggest, alright, because that's my focal point, and then I'm just going to put these little ones on, try and tuck them under, makes it I, oh, straighten my heart again, mate. I might just put a tad. Helmars, it has little whispers, but that's all right. I can go through a bit later. And that one up a bit, that one down a bit. This one in here, and this one up the top. There we go. Okay, so just spent a bit of time repositioning those because I wasn't quite sure what I wanted. I didn't want them in a particularly straight line. I wanted them a little bit more organic than that, but I also wanted them running down the side of the heart. Alright, so I've done that. I'm going to put one more in, but I'm going to put the sentiment across here as well. But before I do that, I'm going to add some little tendrils. What I tend to do is take off the stems of my flowers first, then add the tendrils in separately, because they can be really hard to control if you actually have the flower attached to the little wire. But once the flower is in position exactly where you want it, you can then just slip the tendril in and it will sort of stay in place. So I'll put that one in there. Do another one. Probably put 3 in. Sometimes you can put a bow or whatever, but I actually find the tendrils are quite enough usually. Or, you know, so I might put a bow in as well. Just have them peeking out. That one's a bit long, I've decided. I'm going to snip that. That's better. Doesn't need to be quite so massive. Just a little one peeking out there. They'll glue down. And I might wait for that last one as well. Okay, so I have decided to give it a little string bow to match the string wrap. I've just made a little set of bows. I'm just going to leave it there. I might even put a jewel in there as well when I'm done. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to work on the sentiment now, and again I just need to put the very faintest coat of Distress ink on my card because I just don't want it stark white. Try not to get it too streaky, so get a bit that's just right. Coming in off the edge as you do. Alright, that's not too bad. I'll be able to bring that down. Now what I've done is I've got a little stamp from Technique Tuesday. It's called Smooch. How cute is that? And I've just got the word love. So I'm just going to stamp that right in the middle. Now always give your stamps, you don't have to press hard, but you do need to give them just a couple of seconds to transfer the ink. Gorgeous! And that'll smooth out as I go. So now what I want to do is I want to turn that into a banner. I want it to be quite thin. To snip the ends like that. Then I'm going to use my Rusty Hinge just to edge it a bit. A little bit of definition, try and get in there without making too much of a mess on those little flagged points. Now, whilst I've got this Rusty Hinge out, I'm going to bring my card back, and I've decided I want to use just a little bit of this lace in the Rusty Hinge just to give it back. Oh, so I'm going to pull that off. I'm not going to put this one on a block because I want it a bit multimedia-ish. It's brand new. I'm going to use this one, so I'm not going to be too fussed with it. Just on a little bit in different spots, just poking out. Just a couple more on the top, just poking out. Beautiful. Alright, so that's that done. That's a Kaisercraft one, I think. I'll have to check the name and try and put that in a link below. So here's my little flag, and I want it in there. I want it sort of, actually I might put a little bit of foam tape on it. Okay, so I've just backed it with a little bit of foam tape just so that it'll stand up a bit. And I've got the little flags just coming just slightly off the edge. And now I'm going to put my last flower on, just so it sort of slightly overlaps. That way it makes it look like it's just been in there forever. And it's all good. I might slip that underneath. There we go. Now I'm happy with the placement of that. That's looking really pretty. Now I'm going to put a little bit of gold, Heidi Shine, as Inky Quill says. If you've never been to Inky Quill's page, go and have a look. She's another Australian scrapbooker and paper crafter. She has a great channel. She's been doing it a lot longer than I have. So I'm going to let that dry. Oh, look the lovely mess I've made. Lovely, lovely mess. Maybe I need to clean that up before I go any further. Okay, so that's that. And I think I'm actually just going to put maybe a couple of gems. I'm actually going to use the gems that I used on my journal page the other day because I actually really like these. And being cream, I think they'll help just pop on here. I might put one down there. Put a bigger one in here, I think, just where the strings were. One up there. No, don't like that one. Sort of nested in where the flowers are. Probably should have let the Heidi Shine dry first, and then a tiny little one up there. It's just come off. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, no, odd number. Try and avoid odd numbers. So I might put another one just in there. Alright, let's have a look and see what it looks like. So there is my first, I don't know whether you can see the shine, but it's very, very pretty. Very, very pretty. Very traditional. Okay, tidied myself up, and so I'm ready to start number 2. So I'm going to first start by folding my card base, using my bone folder to give it a nice crease. This card is 13.5 centimetres by 13.5 centimetres, and then I've got a another 13.5 by 13.5 as the topper. Okay, now I might trim this down in the end, but at the moment I'm going to start by cutting a heart shape from it. Now this heart shape that I did on the other card, this one here, when you actually cut it out of a piece of cardstock, it actually cuts from your base the actual negative space, and for this card that's what I want. So I'm just going to cut. Okay, so I've done that basically in the middle of my base, and this one of course I can save to make something else. So having done that, whoops, I forgot, I actually then want to place this into an embossing folder. Okay, now this is a lovely, this is a Kaisercraft Flourish embossing folder, and I'm going to put it in. Now I'm going to leave a bit out the edge because this is when I trim it down it'll be fine. Alright, so I'm just going to emboss this with this Kaisercraft Flourish embossing folder. Now I did this the other way round before. I actually embossed the panel first and then cut the heart. And running it through with the die again flattened all the embossing. So I realised that it's really important to do it the other way around so you get that nice raised edge. So that's ready to go. Now I'm going to put it on my base card. Alright, now this is the reason I haven't trimmed it off, because I want to make sure that my base card is in the middle and I need to trace. I'm just going to lightly trace where the heart is, because I need to do some stamping. A bit hard to see, but there is actually a heart there. Now I'm going to do some stamping. I am going to use some Memento ink to stamp this little gnome house. I just want it, I basically want it in my heart shape. I'm not fussed about it going over the edge because that's alright. And again, I'm just going to leave the stamp for a little while. Don't get too impatient. I'm not a great stamper. I like using my Misty, and I should have probably done that. But if I leave it, awesome, that worked, which is great. Now, whilst I've still got everything out, I'm also going to stamp this cute little gnome. She's gorgeous. I'm going to stamp her here on this little bit of spare card. Okay, and then it's about colouring it in. Now, I'm not going to make you sit there and watch me colour it in real time, so I'm just going to put some music on and fast forward, and we'll see you at the other end. However, it would have been so close and you only had to get it slightly off and you would have that foam showing, but I've got enough. You can use both tape or foam tabs like I am, and that will hold it enough. I am sure. I'll just peel all these backings off. Okay, so I've taken all the foam off. Glad you didn't have to sit there and watch that. And I'm just... Now, something I noticed is I can actually see out of the edge just a little bit. And this is what I said, if I'd done it with foam core, you would have really seen it. But I need to be able to move it just a little bit. Because it is raised, you can actually see just a little bit further through there. So I'm going to match it up like that. Okay. And you've got your little house in the background. And again, I'm going to pop up little miss. Now I'm just going to use her with the tiniest bit of foam. Okay, I'm going to work on the sentiment, which comes with this little gnome one. Now, a trick is just to push the sentiment with a ruler or a flat edge of some sort so that you can ensure that it's all straight, and then pop it on your block, stamp it up, and then stamp it down. Now again, don't push hard, but give it time. And try not to rock it backwards and forwards. Very happy with that. Okay, now I want it to be a nice thin sentiment banner. So I'm going to use my big long scissors, that way I'm just doing one long cut, keeps it nice and straight. And I will notch the end like a flag. Alright, now I'm going to position my little girl. Now what I've done with her is I've put foam tape on, but I've actually put two levels. So I put single foam tape on her body and then a double, because she's going to slip into this spot, and if I only put one, she would be sort of sloping. But by putting, I've cut these in half because it's a very small spot, but I've doubled it up. Alright, so this is two layers of foam at the very top and then one layer of foam here, and her head and her body are going to go about there. I'm just going to slip that on there and put a little bit of glue normal double-sided tape, but I have my glue out. Okay, so there we have the second card. Okay, so here are my two finished cards. They are very different in style. This one's full of whimsy, very easy to create. Use an embossing folder, cut out a heart, or a circle, or a square, whatever you've got, and then fill it with whatever you like. It could be filled with flowers, it could be filled with buttons, it could be filled with die cuts or stamps, just like I've done. Makes for a very simple but cute little card. This one more traditional, more probably elegant, but again it's simply just some base paper, a die cut, and then decorated with a little bit of flower and gems. So anything that anybody could do. So if you have a go, I'd love to see what you make. So please contact me on my Instagram, my Facebook, leave a comment on this channel. Love to catch up and see what you're doing this Valentine's Day for card making. So other than that, I would like to wish you all a very happy day wherever you are, and we'll hope to see you again soon. Bye for now.